There is a place within you where everything begins, before actions, before words, before reality takes form. That place is imagination. Most people treat imagination as something childish, something distant from real life, something with no real impact. But perhaps the opposite is true. Perhaps imagination is the silent origin of everything you experience. Neville Goddard taught that imagination is not just a function of the mind. It is reality itself in an invisible state. Everything you see around you was once imagined, an idea, a thought, a possibility. Before it existed in the world, it existed within someone. But there is a subtle difference that changes everything. You do not only imagine what you want, you also imagine what you fear. Negative scenarios, anticipated failures, conversations that never happened, and your body responds as if they were real. Imagination does not clearly distinguish between what is happening and what is being experienced internally, and that is why it holds so much power. The problem is not imagining, it is imagining unconsciously. When you repeatedly rehearse stories of limitation, of fear, of insufficiency, you begin to shape your perception. And your perception influences your choices. And your choices build your reality. Imagination, when unobserved, becomes a habit, an automatic cycle that reinforces what you already believe. But when you become aware, something shifts. You realize that you can direct it, that you can choose what to feed internally, that you can imagine not as escape, but as creation. According to Goddard, you do not need to fight reality. You need to change the internal state from which reality is perceived. This is not magic, it is perception. When you imagine with intensity, with emotion, with repetition, you begin to feel as if it were already real. And that feeling changes how you act. You begin to move differently, speak differently, decide differently, and gradually your life begins to reflect that. But here is the essential point. It is not about wishing, it is about assuming. It is not about waiting for something to happen. It is about feeling internally as if it is already part of you. In this sense, imagination is not fantasy. It is rehearsal, a space where you experience possible versions of yourself. And the more you live it internally, the more natural it becomes externally. But this requires discipline because the mind tends to return to what is familiar, to fear, to old patterns. Conscious imagination is moving against that current. It is choosing repeatedly a new internal state, even when there is no external evidence yet. And that is not easy, well, because the external world constantly shows you the opposite. But imagination works in silence. It does not need immediate validation. It requires consistency. Perhaps the greatest mistake is using imagination only to escape, when in reality, it can be used to create. You are already imagining all the time. The question is, are you creating or repeating? Every thought charged with emotion is a seed, and time simply reveals what has been planted. Imagination does not directly change the world, but it changes you, and you change the world through how you perceive, feel, and act. Perhaps it is not about controlling everything, but about taking responsibility for what happens within you. Because in the end, what you consistently hold inside tends to express itself outside. And imagination, far from being an escape, may be the bridge between who you are and who you are becoming